what she secretly feels when you don't chase her. Female psychology exposed, modern Stoic. Sometimes letting go is the strongest act of love. For yourself, unknown. What if I told you that the most powerful response after she walks away is nothing? No calls, no chasing, no long explanations, just silence. It might sound counterintuitive, but silence can echo louder than 1,000 desperate words. This isn't about manipulation. This is about reclaiming your power, your masculine center. The man in this story gave everything: his time, his energy, his loyalty. And when she left, he shattered. But instead of crawling back, instead of begging for scraps, he sat in the ruins. In that stillness, he began rebuilding, not a wall of bitterness, but a fortress of strength. Here's the truth: women are attuned to energy. When you stop chasing, when your validation disappears, something shifts. She begins to wonder, not just about you, but about herself, about why your absence weighs more than your presence ever did. That's the psychology at play. What she secretly feels when you don't chase her. It's not about revenge. It's about becoming untouchable. It's about walking away with such quiet dignity that the silence itself becomes unforgettable. If you're tired of being broken, if you're done handing your power to someone who never earned it, this is your way forward. We don't beg, we rebuild. And the very first brick is silence. So if you're ready to stop explaining yourself to people who never truly listened, if you're ready to become unshakable, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 1. The echo of silence. When you go silent, you trigger something most men never dare to test. You refuse the bait. You refuse the performance. You refuse the need to be chosen, and that silence isn't empty. It's thunder. Don't forget, most guys panic the second a woman withdraws. They chase. They flood her phone with double texts, confessions, desperate paragraphs, hoping words will glue her back. That noise is a confession of weakness. That noise is proof she still owns your strings. But when you don't play her game, when you vanish into your work, your focus, your purpose, that's when the modern Stoic is born. And that silence, that deliberate absence, cracks her script. At first, she'll perform indifference. She'll laugh. She'll scroll. She'll post selfies as if she's too busy sipping her latte to notice. Don't believe it. Behind that calm mask, questions slip in like shadows. Did he quit? Did he replace me? Did he just move on? And that is the spark. Curiosity follows uncertainty. And curiosity, my friend, is the gateway drug to regret. That's when she checks your profile at midnight, refreshing, scanning, wondering why you aren't one of the predictable men begging for crumbs. She won't admit it, but your silence exposes her, makes her vulnerable, makes her wonder if she miscalculated. She thought you were easy to decode. Now you're the unsolved riddle. And men, mysteries are magnetic. That is the blessing of Stoicism. Strength in restraint, power in patience, mastery in not chasing. Don't be fooled into thinking silence is weakness. Silence is the old Stoic weapon, sharper than words, heavier than any speech. Be the man who doesn't scramble, who doesn't barter his dignity for attention. Be the man who understands that stillness itself is a move louder than begging, louder than arguments, louder than anything you could ever type on a glowing screen. And in that silence, you stand taller. You are not cruel, you are not bitter. You are just immovable, rooted in the soil of your purpose. That's what makes her restless. That's what keeps her awake. That's what flips the story. Don't chase. Don't stutter. Don't explain. Simply be. Because when you stop filling the space, she starts hearing the echo. And that echo is her own fear bouncing back, whispering that maybe she lost a man who understood something most men never will. That sometimes the strongest roar is the silence of a modern Stoic. Number 2, the mind game she didn't see coming. She thought she knew the script. She thought this movie had the same predictable ending as all the rest. She pulls away, and you, like every other guy, come running. She goes cold, and you start apologizing like you committed a crime. That's the pattern. That's the dance. That's how it usually plays out. But not with you. This time, you didn't flinch. You didn't beg. You didn't try to justify yourself. You simply stepped back, quietly, without fuss. You disappeared and left her alone with her own echo chamber of thoughts. And that was the twist she didn't see coming. The pattern interrupt. You flipped the script. Psychologists call this a pattern interrupt, breaking the expected chain of cause and effect. She expected act distant to get attention. She assumed pull away to get pursued. But your refusal to play that shattered her mental framework. Now her brain scrambles. The questions tumble in like dominoes. Why didn't he chase me? Am I not worth it? Did I misread everything? The irony is sharp. She was the one who thought she was running the game. But now she's the one off balance, searching for footing. You're not under her control anymore. The balance of power shifted cleanly, silently, completely. This is where dark psychology meets Stoicism. And let's be clear, you're not manipulating. You're not some cartoon villain plotting tricks. No. You're simply practicing the blessing of Stoicism, mastering yourself so completely that no one else gets to dictate your emotions. That unnerves people who thrive on reaction. If she can't push your buttons, she has no control. Why? Because you quietly took the entire control panel off the wall. You shut down the game system. That's not cruelty, then that's clarity. That's a Stoic lesson in real-time power isn't about force. It's about restraint. Contrast creates desire. Here's the truth. Real attraction lives in contrast. People crave what they can't fully hold in their hands. Mystery is more magnetic than certainty. When you detach, when you stop seeking her validation, she's forced to reconsider why your approval mattered so much in the first place. That's when the roles flip. That's when she starts chasing you, because suddenly you are the variable, the wild card, the man she can't read. And nothing, absolutely nothing, stirs curiosity like a mystery that refuses to explain itself. The absence of closure. Here's where it gets powerful. She begins replaying every conversation, rewriting every glance, inventing new meanings behind your silence. Not because she loves you more, but because her ego can't stand the absence of closure. But you didn't ghost her. Don't get it twisted. When you didn't vanish like a coward, you simply stopped explaining your worth. And that, my friend, is the ultimate power move. Not performance, but not theater. Peace. Because when you embrace Stoicism, you understand the loudest statement is often silence. And silence, when intentional, is unforgettable. If you found this valuable, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more modern Stoic wisdom. Your support helps this channel grow and reach more men on their journey. Comment to remember, I choose peace over performance. Number 3, then rejection is redirection. Rejection is not your enemy. It's your training ground, your proving ground, your wake-up call from life itself. When she says it's over, when she ghosts you, when the silence cuts deep, understand this rejection is not a dead end, it's redirection. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That is Stoic life. That is Stoic truth. Don't waste time begging for crumbs from someone who already walked away. Don't replay her words in your head like a broken record. You must see rejection for what it is, liberation disguised as loss. You thought she was your peace, but in reality, she was your distraction. You thought you were abandoned, but you were freed. That's not tragedy. That's victory waiting to be claimed. A Stoic man knows that strength is not built when everything feels good. It is built when everything collapses and he refuses to fall. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That is the core of Stoic principles. The heartbreak, that's your forge. The silence, that's your training ground. The clarity, that's your weapon. Don't chase what doesn't serve you. Don't explain yourself to someone who erased you without hesitation. Let rejection burn away the illusions and reveal who truly values you and who never did. Use that knowledge as fuel. Redirect your energy like a warrior sharpening his sword. Get in the gym. Build discipline. Destroy distractions. Master your craft. Build in silence until the world has no choice but to notice. Don't beg for her validation. Demand your own respect. She thinks she rejected you, but in truth, she just unlocked the version of you that doesn't need her anymore. And that man, that version, is unstoppable. Let's call it what it is. Rejection is redirection. Pain is power. Loss is clarity. And clarity is freedom. That is how you live a Stoic life. That is how you embody Stoic principles. Stand firm. Stand tall. Stand unmoved. Don't collapse. Don't plead. Don't look back. Build yourself into the man who doesn't chase approval but commands respect. Because when you stop chasing her, you start chasing greatness. And when you do that, nothing and no one can stop you. Number 4, the weight of regret. She thought walking away would be clean, quick, easy. In her mind, you'd hurt for a while, maybe beg, maybe throw a little chaos her way, then eventually fade like smoke from a blown-out match. But silence, that was the one thing she never prepared for. Not sloppy silence, not passive silence, but surgical silence. The kind that cuts sharper than words. The kind that says, "I heard you, I understood you, I simply don't need to respond." And that silence, it doesn't vanish. It lingers. It spins in her mind like a song on repeat, one she can't skip no matter how many times she presses the button. Because silence without closure doesn't just sit there, it breeds regret. At first, she might celebrate her so-called freedom, convinced she made the smart move, the empowered move. But time is no friend of impulse. Time is a ruthless revealer. It exposes everything people pretend not to feel. Slowly, your name stops being just a name. It transforms into a question mark, a haunting. She scrolls through old photos she once swore meant nothing. She rereads messages she claimed she never cared about. She replays memories she told herself were disposable. And the silence. It begins to sting her more than your words ever could. Because you didn't chase her. And now her ego, her proud, hungry ego, has no closure, no fuel, no audience. The same ego that once thrived on your attention now starves in a desert of your indifference. Every moment she doesn't hear from you is a cruel reminder that you're no longer orbiting her world. That her sun has set, and she can't summon it back. That absence, that void, grows heavier, brick by brick, until it presses down on her chest. She expected a fight. She expected an argument, some desperate plea for another chance, maybe even a messy scene she could roll her eyes at later. What she got instead was a man who chose peace over performance. And that's rare. That's magnetic. That's unforgettable. Because real strength doesn't broadcast itself, it just exists. It doesn't need to explain, or it doesn't need to justify. It simply lets go with dignity. And that act, that refusal to play her game, shifts the burden onto her shoulders. The weight of that decision doesn't crash down immediately. It waits. It creeps in when the party ends, when the attention fades, when the options she thought were infinite suddenly dry up. That's when she remembers, not just who you were, but how you made her feel and how recklessly she threw it away. And here's the truth: that weight isn't yours to carry. Don't pick it up. Don't seek revenge. Don't go chasing explanations or begging for validation. You must understand regret is its own punishment, and silence is the perfect messenger. That is the blessing of Stoicism, letting time do the work for you while you keep walking forward. Be the modern Stoic. Be the old Stoic who knew that detachment is not weakness but power. Your silence is not emptiness, it is control. Your silence is not neglect, it is discipline. And discipline, gentlemen, is rare currency in this world. That's why silence isn't just an absence of words. It is a presence, a force, a mirror she cannot look away from. And in that mirror, what she sees is not you, but her own regret, staring back, refusing to fade. If you find today's content useful to you, don't forget to share your feelings and lessons with us. Or simply comment "very cool." It's a great encouragement for our channel makers. Thank you very much. Number 5, the shift in power. Power doesn't scream and it doesn't chase. It doesn't beg for attention, and power simply is. And when you stop chasing her, when you stop explaining, pleading, and reacting, the power dynamic flips instantly. At the start, she had it all. Your attention, your focus, your energy, onism. She was the sun. You orbited. But when you pulled back, when you stopped feeding the system, it collapsed quietly. That's the moment most men lose the plot. They think power is about proving something, flashing money, bragging about success, or making her jealous. Don't. That's weakness in disguise. Real power. It's indifference. Not the cold kind, but the disciplined kind. You feel, but you're not ruled by those feelings. That is Stoicism. That is discipline. That is the blessing of Stoicism. Calm, solid, and unshakable. And that, my friend, is terrifying to a woman who once had you dancing on her strings. Now she feels the shift. You're no longer where she left you. You're not waiting by the phone. You're focused. You're building. You're not available at her convenience anymore. The energy you once poured into her is now fueling your health, your mission, your growth. She may not admit it, but she notices. And it shakes her. Because you're no longer emotionally dependent. You're emotionally free. Here's the truth no one tells you: detachment is power. When you want nothing, you're untouchable. When you stop craving her validation, she starts craving yours. Not because of manipulation, not because of games, but because you've become rare, unbothered, stoic, in control. Most men react. You reflected, and most men beg. You built. That's the difference, and that's the Stoic lesson. Commanding your emotions instead of being commanded by them. And that shift, it turns the entire game upside down. You're not running from pain. You're mastering it. You're not suppressing emotions. You're leading them. And that calm presence, that silent authority, that is power she cannot ignore. No matter how far she runs, she feels it. Be the man who doesn't chase. Be the man who builds. Be the man whose silence speaks louder than her tests. That is the shift in power. That is the blessing of Stoicism. Number 6, she watches even in silence. She may not text, she may not call. You may never see her name pop up on your screen, but don't be deceived. She's still watching. She watches in silence, through the shadows, through mutual friends, through digital cracks, through anything she can find. Because what unsettles her most is not your words, but your silence. At first, it's curiosity. Then it turns into concern. And then, slowly, it becomes an obsession. Why? Because you stopped feeding her ego, you stopped validating her decision to walk away. Instead, you embraced the Stoic life. You did what Marcus Aurelius taught. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You did not collapse. You did not spiral. You evolved. That is Stoic. That is strength. That is victory. She expected your weakness. Instead, she sees your discipline. She sees your glow. She sees your calm. And that calm burns deeper than any words, any revenge, any plea ever could. A man who lives by Stoic principles knows that peace speaks louder than pain, and that silence carries more power than desperate noise. Don't chase, don't perform, don't beg. You must let her watch, let her wonder. Let her feel the sting of being outgrown, because the truth is brutal. People don't regret losing you when you're broken. They regret it when you're rising. They regret it when your energy, once poured into them, is now invested into yourself. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free. Your bravery to detach, your courage to be collected is what chains her thoughts to you now." In modern life, distraction is everywhere. Validation is a drug, and most men fall into the trap of chasing what only depletes them. Don't. Master yourself. Build your world. Cultivate your body, your craft, your mission. Live a Stoic life where your peace is non-negotiable, where your energy is sacred, where your silence is strategic. She won't like your posts. She won't DM you, but she will refresh, read, and replay the same question in her head. Did I lose the man who could have changed everything? And every time she sees your progress, every time your calmness radiates louder than her absence, the silence inside her screams louder. That is your victory. That is your dominance. That is the Stoic path. So don't falter. Don't stumble. Don't look back. Let her be the chapter you've already outgrown. Let her sit in the audience while you live fully, powerfully, quietly, as the author of your own story. Remember, strength is not in the chase, it's in the mastery. Control yourself, and you control the game. Live with Stoic principles, and life bends in your favor. Let her watch, let her wonder. You move forward, you win. And if you feel that truth hitting home, drop a comment right now. My peace is louder than my pain, like this video. Subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remember, the calmest man in the room always wins. Number 7, scar tissue is armor. Heartbreak doesn't just sting. It forges, it etches marks inside you, like invisible tattoos that scream where you once bled for someone who couldn't even hand you a tissue. Don't confuse that mark with weakness. Be smart enough to see it for what it is, the start of your rebuild. That hollow ache when she walked away wasn't your end. It was your beginning. Every scar tells a story. But more than that, every scar is evidence that you healed. And when you choose not to run from the pain, when you face it head-on like an old Stoic sharpening his sword in silence, those scars don't break you. They become your armor. You become harder to shake, harder to manipulate, harder to pull off your path. That is the blessing of Stoicism, knowing chaos firsthand and refusing to let it drag you back into hell. She thought leaving you would wreck you. Don't let her be right, because all she did was force you to grow, to sharpen, to reassess. The man who got hurt is gone. In his place stands someone more calculated, more focused, more in control. That's the modern Stoic truth. You rise from the wreckage not bitter, but bulletproof. You must understand pain is a tool. Don't wallow in it. Wield it. Don't wear your heartbreak as an identity. Wear it as training. Every cut is discipline. Every scar is armor. Every ounce of loss is fuel. Be ruthless enough to use it, yet calm enough to master it. You're not the same man she left. You're stronger, sharper, smarter. That is the transformation she never expected. Now she sees it. But it's too late. You've evolved into something untouchable. A man with the blessing of Stoicism etched into his skin. A man who understands that scar tissue is not shame. It's armor, it's proof, it's power. And when you carry yourself with that quiet, unshakable force, you don't need to chase anyone. Because the truth is simple, the modern Stoic doesn't chase. He attracts, he commands, he endures. And that, my friend, is the kind of man no one forgets. Number 8, when detachment becomes desire. She expected sparks. She expected proof you still cared. Some reaction that said, I matter. What she got instead was calm, not bitterness, not passive aggression, just calm detachment. And here's the paradox: detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've mastered control over what you care about. That's the blessing of Stoicism. Most men panic when a woman pulls away. They chase, overcompensate, over-explain. They operate from fear. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of being forgotten. But you leaned out. You leaned into yourself, into discipline, into purpose, into growth. And that energy, grounded, steady, unbothered, is incredibly attractive. Why? Because it's rare. Because it shows you're not governed by her attention but by your mission. That's the polarity shift. When you stop chasing, you flip the current. Instead of you chasing her, she starts thinking about you. Not because you're playing games, but because you've become immune to the emotional chaos that once tied you in knots. And immunity is magnetic. Suddenly, she wonders why your absence stings more than your affection ever did. Silence burns deeper than words. Presence without pursuit leaves a mark she can't shake. She won't say it outright, but now you're a weight in her mind. She notices the space. She feels the distance. And in that space, desire grows. Because desire is not born in suffocation. It's born in absence. This is one of the greatest Stoic lessons. What you control is your response, not her reaction. You chose detachment. You chose calm. And by doing so, you unknowingly became the thing she chases. Don't confuse detachment with indifference. You're not cold. You're present. You're not bitter. You're disciplined. You're not waiting. You're living. That's why it works. Because most men collapse under emotional pressure. They fold. They beg. They bend. But the Stoic man stands unmoved. He isn't a leaf blown by every gust of attention. He's the mountain that remains. And a mountain is always more attractive than a leaf. That is what she secretly feels when you don't chase her. The sharp pull of a man who embodies calm strength. A man who doesn't lose himself when others test him. A man who carries the blessing of Stoicism in his very presence. That's the difference between the desperate and the desirable. So don't chase, don't panic, don't hand over your power. Be calm, be grounded, be rooted in purpose. That is when detachment becomes desire. If you've made it this far, you already know the truth. Real power isn't in chasing. It's in mastering yourself. When you lean into discipline, purpose, and calm detachment, you become magnetic without even trying. Please comment this to lock it in. I choose discipline over desperation. Number 9, the revenge of reinvention. Let me be crystal clear. Revenge isn't about chasing on pleading or showing her what she lost. Real revenge is silent, and it's not about her at all. It's about you. Reinvention is not noise, it's not flexing, it's evolution, quiet, ruthless. Unstoppable, Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That's Stoic life. That's Stoic principles in action. Don't waste energy trying to fix the broken version of yourself that she walked away from. That man is dead. What you must do now is build the man you were always meant to be. At first, it will feel like survival. You'll hit the gym because the pain has to go somewhere. You'll bury yourself in books because your mind won't shut off. You'll grind in your work because standing still hurts more than moving forward. But then something shifts. It's no longer about her. It's no longer about proving anything. The fire turns inward. It becomes pure, internal, disciplined. That is when reinvention begins. You must wake up with purpose, not to post, not to flex, but to build something real, solid, undeniable. She may see it, she may not, but she will feel it, because energy doesn't lie. You're no longer broken and you're no longer desperate. You're no longer confused. That man is gone. In his place stands a man forged in silence, tempered in pain, living by Stoic principles. A man who doesn't beg for validation because he is the validation, Seneca said. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Remember that. This version of you is not reactive, and it's not a mask. It's truth. It's rooted deep in discipline, forged in struggle and born in focus. And here's the devastating part she realizes, maybe too late, that she never really knew you. Not this version, not the man who rose from the rubble with clarity, without bitterness, without games, without looking back. The real revenge is not her crawling back, not her watching, not her regretting. The real revenge is you not caring anymore. That's not coldness, that's freedom, that's victory, that's the essence of the Stoic life. Don't waste time waiting for anyone to validate your journey. Let your actions speak. Let your transformation be your thunder. Don't look back. Don't hesitate. Reinvent yourself until the man in the mirror terrifies the man you used to be. That is power. That is freedom. That is mastery. You must embody it. You must live it. Because in the end, the only person you were ever meant to impress was yourself. Number 10. You were the storm, not the shelter. She thought she had you figured out. The man who was steady, safe, predictable. The one who would always pick up the phone, always patch her heart, always stand there like a warm house in the rain. Don't fool yourself. She didn't see you as a man. She saw you as a utility, the emotional backup plan, the comfort she could lean on when it suited her. But then, everything shifted. You stopped being the shelter. You stopped being the fallback. You stopped being the predictable yes man she could count on without ever valuing. And that shift broke her expectations more than it ever broke you. Because when she thought she left you shattered, you did the unthinkable. You rebuilt, not softer, not safer, stronger, sharper, colder. You didn't stay the man who waits. You became the storm she never saw coming. That's the blessing of Stoicism, the old Stoic wisdom that pain is not a prison. It's raw material. You turned heartbreak into iron. You turned disappointment into discipline. You stopped decoding late-night riddles in her texts. You stopped giving endless space to someone who couldn't hold an ounce of yours. That wasn't cruelty. That was clarity. That was the modern Stoic man in action. Now, your presence doesn't whisper comfort. It commands respect. The man she knew was emotionally available, predictable to the bone. The man you've become is unreadable, grounded, locked into his focus like steel. You don't get pulled into chaos anymore. You step back. You walk away, and that's the storm. Don't mistake the storm for wild rage. It's controlled force, purpose without apology, passion without dependence. You didn't just survive the pain, you harnessed it. And that power radiates in a way that no game, no performance, no tactic could ever fake. She feels it even if she doesn't admit it. She remembers you as the man who cared too much. But now she sits with the void created by the absence of that care. Don't miss this truth: you didn't withdraw love, you withdrew availability. There's no soft landing left for her, no safety net to crawl back into. You're not the man she ran from, you're the man she can't touch anymore. And that realization hits harder than any fight or apology ever could. That's the full circle moment. Not because you turned bitter, not because you hated her, but because you remembered your worth. You were never the fallback plan, never the side quest, never the safety net. You were always the storm. You just forgot. But now you remember. And once a man remembers his value, he never goes back to being a shelter for someone who disrespected it. Don't chase, don't beg, don't explain. That's weak ground. You already walked that path, and it led nowhere. Instead, you chose silence. You chose strength over emotion, discipline over desperation, peace over performance. And that silence, it isn't emptiness, it's evolution. It's the kind of silence that rattles her, that makes her doubt, that makes her wonder. She questions it, she feels it. She watches from the sidelines as you rebuild without her. And the truth she secretly feels when you don't chase is brutal: confusion, doubt, regret. But that's her storm to weather, not yours. Don't mistake Stoicism for numbness. The old Stoic taught that it's not about being unfeeling. It's about not letting chaos dictate your life. The modern Stoic knows your worth is too high to be pawned off for temporary affection. You must refuse to trade your peace for anyone's drama. What she secretly feels when you don't chase her is everything. But what you must feel is nothing. Because the real win was never about her. It was about you. That's the blessing of Stoicism. You let go without losing yourself. You rose higher when she expected you to crumble. And that is the rise of the storm, silent, focused, undeniable. Let her wonder. Let her regret. Let her drown in the silence she created. You, on the other hand, you've got better things to build, better places to go, a better man to become. Don't look back. Be the storm. Always the storm. If you've made it this far, you already know the truth: the storm didn't break you, it built you. And here's the real takeaway: stop chasing approval. The moment you stop running after someone, you reclaim your own power. That's what makes you attractive, unshakable, and free. If this message hit home, hit that like button. Subscribe for more unshakable truth. Turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. And drop a comment below: I don't chase, I rise. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay calm, stay untouchable. Take care, my friend. Until next time.